I promise you, if somebody would have showed me what I'm about to show you when I was in the 5th grade, I'd have been a millionaire by the time I was in the 9th grade. Y'all ready? Here we go. So, before I start doing the math, let me tell you one other thing you got to do. You have to disconnect your revenue generation from time. That's how they get us. They get us by programming us to anchor our revenue generation to time in the form of dollars per hour. To the point that even when business owners decide on their pricing, they decide on their pricing based on dollars per hour. I don't like dollars per hour. May I share with you why I don't like dollars per hour? Yes? Okay, here's why. Because time is a limited resource. So if I anchor my revenue generation to time, then the amount of revenue I can generate is always going to be limited. So in order for me to generate unlimited wealth, and I know some people don't like that idea. I don't have time to fix that for you right now. I don't. But if I desire to generate unlimited wealth, to provide for my family for generations, then I must disconnect my revenue generation from time. And when I anchor my revenue generation from time, it needs to be a number that's big enough to make me not mind so much. That's why I charge $40,000 an hour for consulting. And some people think, well, I'd never pay you $40,000 for consulting, for an hour of consulting. I know, and you'd never get $40,000 worth of consulting from me in an hour. So both of us are happy. Are y'all tracking? So disconnect your revenue generation from time, which means if you're going to build wealth through starting a business that sells a product or a productized service is the way to do that. So I'm going to pick a product that's really simple that I've got right here, and I'm just going to say a book. Now, you could write a book. Now, as soon as I said that, here's what some of you thought. Some of you on Instagram, but I don't know how to write a book. That was your first thought. Or, how do you write a book? Or, why would somebody want to read my book? Okay, so here's a millionaire formula for you. Ready? If you ask disempowering questions, you cannot find empowering answers. You're not going to find what you're not looking for. So when I decided to write a book, I didn't know how to write a book. I had no idea how to write a book. So I asked myself the question, does anybody know how to write a book? Well, I found these two guys that had sold over 100 million books. Anybody know their names? Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield. And they wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. They didn't actually write it. They compiled it. That's probably the most brilliant business idea ever. I don't even have time to go into that. In fact, y'all remind me to do a video called Chicken Soup for the Moneymaker Soul. Okay. Anyway, so Mark Victor Hansen had a book conference where he was teaching people how to become best-selling authors. And it was only $2,000. I got $2,000. I'm going to the conference because I know I'm going to write a book. And while I was at that conference, I bought $18,000 worth of training material to teach me how to become a best-selling author. Because different people had courses. This is how you sell your books. This is how you market your books. This is how you promote your book. This is how you get your book. I bought all of it. Why? Because I decided I'm going to be a best-selling author. And guess what happened? I wrote my first book, which was this book, but it was a different title. It was called The Ebony Treasure Map, The Roadmap to Riches for African Americans. Same book, different title. And when I wrote that book, and I printed it, I found out at that conference that the average book only sells 500 copies. There's over there were at that time there was like 190,000 new books titles published every year, and the average book never sold more than 500 copies. So guess how many copies I got printed? 500. Right? Because I'm an optimist. But the first week I sold 900 copies at $20 a piece. 900 times 20, that's 18,000. Huh. So I made my $18,000 back, and I still have the book. Had to get new books printed. The second printing was like 3,000. Then 10,000, then 15,000. And we just kept printing them, selling them. Now, so here's what you do. You need a product that makes you $20 profit. So, $20. All you have to do to make $1 million is sell 50,000 of them. We have sold over 170,000 copies of this book. Is that more than 50,000? Yes. This is one of our books, by the way. Okay. You sell 50,000 copies, so I'm going to teach you some more fifth grade math, right? This is a fifth grade math trick. So actually a third grade math trick. Here we go. If you're multiplying two numbers that end in 0, you multiply the two numbers. 5 times 2 equals, okay, let me put the times there, equals 10. Then you count the zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, boom. It's $1 million. You sell 50,000 books. So I know when I say sell 50,000 books, I know what you're thinking. You say, how do you know what I'm thinking? I'm kind of a mind reader. It's not the real reason. How do I know what you're thinking? Because this is human nature. How do you sell 50,000 copies? Am I telling the truth? How many of y'all thought, but how do you sell 50,000? How many of y'all are thinking that? Come on now, be honest. Yeah, exactly. You haven't even written the book yet. But you're letting how do you sell 50,000 copies keep you from writing the book. But if you write the book, you're more likely to figure out the ways to sell 50,000 copies than you are to figure out how to sell 50,000 copies before you write the book and then write the book because you know how to sell them. Are y'all tracking? What if you got on the right podcast? One podcast could sell 50,000 books. Are y'all tracking? Like if Oprah puts your book on her list of favorite things, you're going to sell more than 50,000 books. See, all you have to do is realize that somebody out there already has the attention of the audience that would love you. Love who? Everybody tap yourself on the chest, say me. Yeah, somebody out there already has the attention of the audience that would love you. So you sell 50,000 books. Cool. Well, what do you do next? Well, let's say that's too much work and you don't feel like doing all that. Because I can see some of y'all clearly are not up for the task. You're like, it's a lot. Okay, cool. So let's do this. I found out with this same math trick, if I take the 0 off the back of this number and put it on the back of this number, the answer stays the same. So if I take that content in this book and I turn it into an audio program, not an audio book, an audio program, or an audio course, I can sell the same information for $200. And now I can do 1/10 the work and make the same amount of money. What? Did y'all hear what I just said? Okay. Maybe I'm the only one excited by this. But this is $1 million a year. Okay. So my business currently sells between $70,000 and $90,000 worth of books a month. So this is not theory. I'm not teaching you any theory. We sell over $1 million worth of books every year. Just books. Courses, totally different concept. But guess what? When I moved that 0 and it like divided my workload by 10, that's one way to look at it, or it multiplied my output by 10, however you want to look at it. I said, let me hire an attorney and a scientist and a minister and see if there are any scientific, municipal, or spiritual laws against moving zeros. They all three said the same thing. No, you can move as many as you want to. I said, well, let me move another one. And I take the same content and turn it into a course, a full-blown home study course, and I can sell it for $2,000. And now I only have to sell 500. Now, here's the cool thing about 500. 500 is only 2 a day, 5 days a week. And you can take weekends off. What? And you get a 2-week vacation. Okay. I feel the need to repeat something here because y'all looking at me kind of funny. This is not theory. No. Like, if somebody would just show me how, this is what I do. This is not what I'm thinking about doing. This is not what I read about doing. This ain't what I heard about doing. This is what I do. I do this. What? All this, then some. So I said, well, you know what? There's still some more zeros down here on the bottom. Well, I like it when we move these zeros to the top row. Move another one. What if I have a $20,000 mastermind? I only have to sell 50. That's only 1 a week. What? 1 a week for a year? I have a lady who used to be in my $55,000 mastermind. She had an automated webinar that sold a $2,000 product, and she was making $500,000 a month.